Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy. This is our second installment of the month of April 2024, and this is our top 4 most powerful ways to stop or reduce stress. And in this particular part 2, we are going to go into the idea of how blood sugar management helps with stress. I'm not going to belabor this point, but we're going to talk at least about some key points. But I want to at least exemplify it by talking about a very cool little experiment they did. And years ago I talked about it, but it probably bears repeating at this point. They took a group of people and they put them in a small room, and in the small room on the table which they were sitting, they had a plate of chocolate chip cookies that were just glorious, and a plate of vegetables. And what they did is they told the first group of people as they went into the room, you may have as much vegetables or cookies as you wish. And so they let them sit there for a period of time. And then they came in and handed them a maze to do that was unsolvable. You know, like the mazes that we like to do when we were kids, like, help Johnny find his bicycle. And the maze was like super easy and you just kind of whipped right through it and you drew the line in the maze and Johnny got to his bicycle. But anyways, this was an incredibly intricate, very complicated, unsolvable maze. Could you imagine? And so the people that sat there eating chocolate chip cookies or vegetables and, you know, were just fine, just chilling with water, they worked on the puzzle for a certain length of time. But then they had a next group of people come in and they said, you can have vegetables, but you cannot have the chocolate chip cookies. And of course, they're fresh baked. The whole room is smelling of chocolate chip cookies. And who doesn't want to eat a chocolate chip cookie that is so fresh? And so they're not allowed to eat the chocolate chip cookie. So they're sitting there for 10 minutes. And they're sitting there and they're staring at the chocolate chip cookies. And then they bring the unsolvable, very intricate maze to them. Now, which group do you think lasted longer on doing the unsolvable maze until they finally gave up? This is always the fun part of doing an experiment, trying to reason what your answer might be. Now, if you need more time, you're going to have to pause the podcast and go ahead and do that. But for those of you that don't mind, the group that was robbed of the chocolate chip cookies and had to use up their willpower became more and more stressed. And do you think they tolerated doing that puzzle? No, they didn't. They lasted 9 minutes average before they simply gave up. The people that were allowed to kind of have willy-nilly chocolate chip cookies or vegetables lasted, you want to guess? Go ahead. 21 minutes. 21 minutes, more than double. So when we use up our willpower and we get stressed out, we tend to now have less willpower to do other things, like resist. And so this is kind of a window into how the blood sugar works in our body. If our blood sugar is stable, we actually handle stress better. Now, what's fascinating is I want to know the people that, let's say they brought people in that were kind of a little ADHD or that could not handle sugar very well. And if they ate sugar, how long did they last doing the puzzle? Now, that would have been a fascinating little experiment in and of itself as a sidebar. But for the vast majority of us, if we maintain blood sugar and we thought, I'm not hungry, I really don't need the chocolate chip cookies, I could have some of the vegetables, I guess, if I really wanted to, and we were okay, I think we would have lasted a bit longer with that puzzle. Now, what would have been far more interesting is if they did a behavioral style on those people that they took in, so that they know that they didn't kind of load all those people with behaviors that would try to solve the puzzle no matter what. So there's all these little kinds of subtleties in a test like this. I would have designed it a little bit differently. I would have wanted more details, but that's me. So how do we manage then blood sugar, and why is blood sugar so vitally important? If we spike blood sugar, let's say with a cookie, yeah, we feel better for a period of time, but eventually that blood sugar is going to crash. And when that blood sugar crashes, our body sees it as a famine. It doesn't understand why blood sugar went so low, because it's crashed with insulin. When blood sugar crashes, I now deplete my sex hormones and I replace the production of sex hormones with stress hormones. I need to eat and I need food now, and you better be searching for it, says the brain. And so our stress starts to go up because of the stress hormones like cortisol. And when we have stable blood sugar, we now have the ability to produce sex hormones much better and less cortisol. Well, how do we stabilize blood sugar becomes the question. By reducing sugar intake all the way around in the form of breads, pastas, cookies, crackers, cereals, oatmeal, all of it. They're the ones that tend to spike blood sugar. So if we reduce carbohydrate intake a fair amount and do a better amount of protein and good solid omega-3 fats, and we have vegetables with all that, that's just fine. We now have a body that does not spike blood sugar, but is giving fat to the system. The liver then takes that fat, breaks it down into ketones by glycolysis, and now we have this dripping of ketones and sugars into the blood gently. And so the liver maintains blood sugar as it should, and as it always has, throughout the centuries until the last 120 years, when we've had grain all year long and can eat pasta, pastries, bread, anything we wanted carbohydrate-wise at any time of the day, all day long. And we spike blood sugar not one time a day, but 20 times a day. And that becomes a huge problem. So blood sugar management is a powerful way to protect your sex hormones production, like testosterone and progesterone for women, as well as reduce cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So if you really want to manage your stress levels and do a great job at doing it, you will guard your plate with all you have. And so when somebody wants to offer you a nice sandwich with 2 pieces of bread, you say, no, thank you. Or you accept it and take the pieces of bread, throw them away, and eat the stuff inside the sandwich. So that's where this whole idea of having a burger at a burger joint on a lettuce wrap or in a bed of lettuce. Hold the bun, please. So this is all about blood sugar management so that I may sleep better, I may sleep more soundly, I do not have as much stress, I now can enjoy my relationships more, my work more, my play more, my sleep more, my life more. It's all about stress reduction and just literally going about stopping. Now, do we want to totally stop cortisol? No, it is natural. We don't want to reduce it to nothing, but we do want to manage it in a very good way, and we don't want to stress ourselves out unnecessarily with a poor diet habit. So there you go for the stress management tip number 2. Stay tuned for next week when we talk about the third one. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy, and remember, there is way more right with you than there is wrong with you.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's CHIROMAN MAN@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.
The information on Dr. Troy Munson's podcast is meant to educate the listener and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.